Hi everyone. So this week we are talking about identity, and in particular race, ethnicity, and nationality as forms of identity. I know these concepts can be confusing. We often hear these terms used interchangeably, but from a social science perspective, they each have a specific meaning, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page as we go into our discussions this week. So I'm going to say a few words here, and I've also put some key points into the notes here and given you a couple of examples that I hope will clarify the concepts for you. Race is a set of categories based on observed physical traits. We most often associate race with skin color, but it can also include facial features, hair, and other physical traits. In the past, it was believed that there were biological differences that created the physical traits. We now know that that is not true and that there is no scientific basis for race, but it's still an important set of categories. It still carries a lot of social significance for us, and we're, at least in the United States, often required to choose a racial identity and to identify ourselves on our driver's license or on other official documents by our race. Ethnicity is identity based on a common heritage. It's a group of people who believe that they are related through a common set of ancestors and usually tied to a specific geographic location. Now, in the notes, I've said that it's an imagined common heritage because as we become more mobile, as we intermarry, ethnicity can become harder to trace. We get further away from those original ancestors. And so, for example, I'm Irish, German, English, and Welsh. So my ethnicity is a mix, and that's fairly common among a lot of Westerners. In some places, though, ethnicity is a much more important category, particularly in places where race is not as much of a category. So there are places where people are required to identify by their ethnicity and where people are persecuted for their ethnicity. Ethnicity, because it's not always visible, is usually expressed more through shared cultural practices like food, clothes, language, festivals, rituals, and things like that. Nationality is a political or legal status. So nationality is identity tied to a particular governing structure. It's, again, like ethnicity, usually tied to the idea of a homeland, of a place that nationality belongs. Nationality is much more voluntary than race or ethnicity. Nationality does not necessarily have to be tied to a formal state. In the case of Americans, it is. America is what we call a nation state, where our nation and our governing state are the same. But that's not always the case. So, for example, in the United States, some American Indians have established their own sovereign nations, and we recognize them as sovereign nations. So they are nations within the states. Nationality, again, much like ethnicity, is often expressed through shared symbols and cultural practices, such as national anthems, flags, holidays, pledging allegiance, things like that. Nationality, you may or may not have to give your identity. But these are all important ways that we identify ourselves and that we identify others. And so it's important to know what we're talking about. And so I hope this has clarified these concepts for you, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.